Chapter 1945. What's so difficult about that? Fengjiu smiled confidently and said, that place is empty now, just wait and see. We'll open in half a month, and in less than half a month, the shops around us will be looted. That place will definitely become lively. Seeing the confident look on her face, he felt relieved. Then I'll wait and see the results of the opening half a month later. He believed that the opening day would be very lively, but he didn't know how lively it would be. The two strolled around the streets and bought some small things. Then, they went to a restaurant to eat and drink a cup of tea. Then, they held hands and slowly went to Shi City. What do you think we should name this building? Fengjiu looked at her and asked. He pondered and said, what do you think of the Heavenly Pill building? Take the Tian from your Yuantian palace and add the Dan from the medicinal pills to form the Heavenly Pill building. It also means that the medicinal pills from the heavens are extraordinarily precious. Heavenly Pill building. She whispered and smiled, yes, that's the name. The two arrived at Shi City and went to the building. They saw that the door was closed, and from time to time, there were sounds of renovation. The two looked at each other and called inside. Du Fan. The door opened and Du Fan walked out. Master, Yama Lord, you're here. We came to take a look. How is the renovation going? Fengjiu said. Du Fan smiled and said, Master, don't worry. I've asked them to work through the night. They've already completed more than half of it. In a few days, it will be completed. When the time comes, we'll decorate it ourselves. We can open for business in about half a month. His voice paused and he smiled. Right now, there are renovations everywhere. It's a bit messy. Master and Yama Lord, it's better for you to come back in a few days to see the results. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled. All right, then I'll leave this place to you. We'll take our leave first. She said and left with Xianyuanmo's. It's still early to go back now. Let's take a walk around the Jade Lake. Xianyuanmo said. Fengjiu agreed, and the two of them headed towards Jade Wave Lake. After passing through a jade-green bamboo forest, they saw the sparkling jade-green lake. The lake water appeared green against the backdrop of the bamboos beside the lake. A gentle breeze blew, and ripples appeared on the surface of the lake. The sparkling ripples were very beautiful. Although the scenery was not bad, there were not many people here. When the two of them walked slowly while holding hands, the surroundings were quiet and very pleasant. The scenery here is indeed not bad. Fengjiu let go of his hand and took a deep breath. What she smelled was the bamboo fragrance that permeated the bamboo forest. Looking at the jade ripple lake surrounded by bamboo, she narrowed her eyes and a thought rose in her mind. I want to make this place mine. What should I do? She reached out and wrapped her arms around his waist, lying on his chest as she said with a smile. Xianyuanmo's lips curved slightly, his eyes filled with gentleness and affection. That's not difficult. As his voice fell, he called out, Ing Yi. Your subordinate is here. Ing Yi walked out from the shadows and came behind the two of them. By this place. Xianyuanmo said in a deep voice, directly giving the order. Yes. Ing Yi replied and left in a flash. Chapter 1946. As long as you know what the other party needs, there's no deal that can't be negotiated. His voice was filled with confidence as he gently stroked her head, caressing her soft hair. Since you like this place, then let's make it our place. She replied as she leaned against his chest. Hugging him, she looked at the scenery and smelled the bamboo fragrance, feeling extremely happy. Do you think there's fish here? She asked. Her eyes turned and she let go of him as she walked to the lakeside. Seeing some fish swimming in the water, she couldn't help but smile. Ah, there's fish. How about we go fishing? We can roast the fish here and eat it. You have a fishing rod? He walked up and asked. I have. I have it in my space, I've been keeping it. She took out a fishing rod from her space as she said, but, you have to help me dig out the bait. Hearing this, Xianyuanmo smiled. He took out a dagger from his space and walked to the moist grass by the lakeside to dig. Fengzhou turned around and saw the man in the luxurious black robe squatting on the ground, using a dagger to help her find bait. Seeing this scene, she couldn't help but smile, her eyes filled with happiness. In the entire world, she was probably the only one who could make him disregard his image and squat on the ground to dig bait for her. After looking at him for a while, she put the fishing rod to the side and lifted her skirt slightly as she walked forward. Squatting down beside him, she took out a bottle from her space. Did you dig it out? It doesn't need much, 1 or 2 days should be enough. Here. He picked it up with a dagger and put it into the bottle with some disgust. Fengzhou saw this and smiled. That's right, how could she forget that he was obsessed with cleanliness? All right, I'll do the rest. After putting the bait into the bottle, she took out 2 sections and hung them on 2 fishing hooks. She handed one to him. Here, if you catch too much, we'll bring it back to add to the dishes. The corners of Xianyuanmo's lips curled up slightly. He took the hook and threw it into the lake. Fengzhou, who was standing beside him, smiled and threw his hook into the lake as well. The two of them stood side by side, whispering to each other. Soon, a fish took the bait. Fengzhou pulled slightly and pulled a palm-sized fish out of the water. She shouted in surprise, "Wow! Look, this fish isn't small." As she spoke, she saw him pull out a fish that was obviously twice as big as hers from the water. Looking at the big fish, she put away her own fish and went to help him untie his fish. There's actually such a big fish in the lake. This one is enough for both of us. She smiled and squinted her eyes. She hugged the big fish with both hands. On the contrary, after Xianyuanmo's hooked the fish, he took a few steps back to avoid being splashed by the water. There were no branches in this area, only bamboo. Thus, after Fengzhou cut a bamboo, she began to prepare the fish. She didn't use the branches to start a fire, but directly used the fire element to roast the fish on the bamboo. When the smell of the fish and bamboo spread in the air, a few men and women came over. When they smelled the smell of the fish in the air, they stopped in their tracks. Strange, why is there such a fragrant fish smell here? One of the men sniffed and looked at the brocade-clothed man next to him. Didn't you say that this Jade Wave Lake area is your home? Why is there a fish smell here? Chapter 1947. Seeing everyone's gazes, the brocade-robed man's face darkened. It must be the people who came here to admire the lake who ran here to catch fish. I'll go take a look. Seeing him stride forward, the crowd followed. Following the smell of the fish, they saw a man and a woman sitting on a large bamboo tube by the lake. In front of them was a small flame that had not yet been extinguished and a palm-sized fish. The two of them were eating roasted fish with bamboo slices in their hands. However, when he saw the beautiful woman in red with a smile like a flower, the anger on the brocade-robed man's face instantly disappeared and was replaced by amazement and infatuation. So beautiful, such a beautiful woman. How could there be such a beautiful woman in this world? That red dress was as dazzling as fire and could be seen from afar. That beautiful face, for a moment, his mind could not find the words to describe it. He only knew that with just one glance, that breathtaking beauty moved his heart and made him unable to look away. Looking at the moving smile on that beautiful face, the unconcealable moving expression in her eyes, and the enchanting charm that she naturally exuded, his heart started to beat faster. Was this the feeling of love at first sight? The people behind him also saw the two people. For a moment, both men and women were mesmerized by the two people. The man was handsome and the woman was beautiful. The two people's temperaments were so outstanding. They sat by the lake and ate fish. No one knew what they were talking about in low voices. The woman's face was full of joy and the man's lips were also slightly curved. His gaze towards the woman was full of tenderness and love. Fengjiu and Xianyuanmos already knew that people had come, but they did not pay attention to them. The two of them ate a large fish and could not eat the remaining palm-sized fish. Fengjiu said, "Leave this small one for Ying-yi." "En." He responded and took out a small handkerchief to wipe the corners of his mouth. He stood up and brushed his robes. The brocade-robed man who came back to his senses looked at Xianyuanmos and then his gaze fell on Fengjiu. "Miss, this is my home. Why are you roasting fish here?" Fengjiu looked at him and asked, "Is this your home?" After a pause, she glanced at Ying-yi, who was coming this way, and said with a smile, "I don't think so anymore. This is my home." "Miss, you don't know my family." Before the man could finish his sentence, he was interrupted. "Master, the deed is here." Ying-yi came to Xianyuanmos' side and handed over a square box. Xianyuanmos took it and handed it to Fengjiu without even looking at it. "Here you go." Fengjiu happily took it, opened it, and nodded with satisfaction. "Ying-yi, you're getting more and more efficient. Come, there's a grilled fish tail here. We've specially saved it for you." "Thank you, master, madam." Ying-yi said and stepped forward to pick up the grilled fish, then retreated behind the two. When Fengjiu heard him call her madam, her smile deepened. When Xianyuanmos heard him call her madam, he nodded with satisfaction. Although the two of them were not married, whether they were son-in-law or madam, it was only a matter of time. "Ying-yi, drive these people away," Xianyuanmos said calmly. He did not like that the men's eyes were on Fengjiu. Chapter 1948. When the few of them heard this, other than being stunned, they were also stunned. They all looked at Xianyuanmos and Fengjiu, and then looked at the man in brocade clothes in front of them. When he came to his own place, he actually said that it was already someone else's. When the man in brocade clothes heard this, his face flushed red and he said angrily, "What are you talking about? This is clearly my home. Before he could finish his words, the woman in red took out the land deed and spread it out in front of him. "Look, it's ours now. We just bought it. You can go home and ask your father not to come here again." She was going to ask Du Fan to come here and set up a formation, turning this place into a private place. In the future, when they had nothing to do, they could come here to enjoy the scenery and tour the lake. Seeing the familiar land deed, the man in brocade clothes was speechless. After all, he was not an impulsive and brainless person. When he saw the land deed and the extraordinary aura of these two people, he did not continue to pester them. Instead, he said something to the people behind him and left in a hurry. He wanted to go back and ask his father what was going on. Why was their home suddenly sold to these two people? Seeing them leave, Fengjiu looked at Ying-yi and asked with a smile, "How did you buy this place?" This area was originally the place of the Zhang family in the city. The Zhang family is a rich family in the city and does not lack money. This subordinate found out that the Zhang family's patriarch was seriously injured a few years ago. He searched everywhere for doctors, but they were unable to cure him. Thus, this subordinate used a 5th-rank knight in to exchange for his place. Hearing this, Fengjiu chuckled. "So that's how it is." She looked at Xianyuanmos. "You're right. In this world, money may not be able to buy what you want. However, pills are different. No matter how strong a person is, they will cherish their life." She held his hand and smiled. "Let's go. Let's go to the Heavenly Dan building and ask Du Fan to come here and set up a formation." Xianyuanmos replied and left with her. Behind them, when Ying-yi saw the two of them walking forward, he took out the steaming grilled fish and finished it in a few bites. After finishing, He couldn't help but say, if Grey Wolf knows about this, he will definitely regret not following us. In front of the Heavenly Dan building, Du Fan and Leng Hua saw that they had come again and asked, Master, is there anything else? Why did they come back here after going around in a circle? And, there is something I need you to do. Feng Jiu smiled and told him about the area around the Jade Wave Lake. Weren't you studying arrays in the end? I'll leave that place to you. Du Fan's eyes lit up. No problem, Master, don't worry. I won't disappoint Master. After giving instructions, they returned to the Feng Manor. Not long after they sat down, Grey Wolf arrived. Master. Hui Lang called out. Immortal Master Ji Shui has been asking about you today. He said that you should go see him when you come back. Hearing this, Feng Zhou said, Say, why don't I go with you to see him? Your master should have been here for a few days, but I haven't seen him yet. She paused, looked at him, and asked, But why did your master come to find you? You're not hiding it from me, are you? Logically speaking, there should be something. He did not say anything these days. Did he not want her to know? Chapter 1949. Something he needs your help with. Feng Zhou was slightly surprised. You didn't agree. It seemed that he didn't agree, which was why his master had waited here for a few days. He looked at her and saw the surprise on her face, so he said, I was just about to turn him down. Hearing this, Feng Zhou said, Although I haven't seen him before, he is still your master. Since he has spoken, it must be something important. What is he looking for you for? Is there anything I can do? Xianyuan Mose paused, his deep gaze fell on her face and met her clear eyes. He asked me to go overseas with him. He said that he needed to use my Xianyuan sword, and the date of his return was uncertain, so I didn't agree. Go overseas. Feng Zhou was slightly startled. You don't even know when he will be back. Wouldn't that mean that he wouldn't know how long he would be gone? He responded, the corners of his lips curling up, and he stroked her hair with one hand. Don't worry, I won't go. I will tell him later. Feng Zhou was silent. She thought for a while, then said, Why don't you go? She looked at him and said with a serious expression, Your master specially came to ask you for help. It wouldn't be good if you refused. Moreover, it might really be something important. If I go overseas with him, I don't know when I will be back. Aren't you worried? He asked with a smile in his eyes. Feng Zhou smiled, took his hand, and put it on his arm. With your strength, cultivation, and wisdom, I should be worried about those who find trouble with you. Moreover, I am here waiting for you. Try not to come back if you dare. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose laughed softly. I will take you to see my master. Even if you want to leave, you have to wait until the Heavenly Pill building opens and make sure that you are on the right track. Aren't you in a hurry? There is no use in being anxious. If I don't want to leave, can he kidnap me? He took her hand and led her to the small door between the two manors, bringing her to see his master, Stillwater Immortal Monarch. Hearing that Xianyuan Mose had returned, Immortal Master Ji Shui, who was in the Ling residence, walked to the front yard. When he arrived, he saw the man and woman sitting at the table talking. He couldn't help but be startled. He had guests. He turned his gaze and sized up the red-clothed girl. He couldn't help but praise her in his heart. What an outstanding girl. No matter if it was her bearing, appearance, or cultivation, there were very few people who could compare to her. Thinking about it, there could only be one person who was with him, the ghost Dr. Feng Zhou. He had long heard of this ghost Dr. Feng Zhou's name. It was rumored that not only was this woman's cultivation talent outstanding, but she was also proficient in the art of alchemy and medicine making. Her medical skills had even reached the stage of bringing the dead back to life. Rumors were rumors, but this was the first time he had seen her. Seeing her now, he felt that the two of them were very compatible. Master, Xianyuan Mose held Fengzhou's hand and stood up, looking at the approaching Stillwater Immortal Monarch. Fengzhou greets the Immortal Monarch. She looked at the old man who was walking over and bowed. No need to be so courteous. Stillwater Immortal Monarch said, looking at Fengzhou, I have long heard of the ghost Dr. Fengzhou's name, but I didn't expect to meet you here today. Truly, seeing is believing. You are indeed a dragon among men. Fengzhou was slightly surprised, looking at Stillwater Immortal Monarch with a smile. Immortal Monarch is too kind. I knew that Immortal Monarch was in your residence, but I only came to visit today. I hope you don't blame me for being rude. Chapter 1950. Have you thought about it? He asked. He had not seen him for the past few days because he was accompanying Fengzhou. No wonder he was so hesitant when he asked him to go overseas. He did not know when he would return, so he was indeed forcing him. I can go with you, but I will have to wait a little longer. Xianyuan Mo said. Hearing this, Immortal Lord Ji Shui let out a sigh of relief. He looked at him and asked, How long is a little longer? You have to give me a time, right? Fengzhou, who was at the side, heard this and said, It's like this. Mose wants to wait until our Heavenly Pill building opens before leaving. There should be around 10 days left. Around 10 days, okay. Immortal Lord Ji Shui nodded and looked at Xianyuan Mose. I will wait for you for another 10 days. After 10 days, I hope you won't disappoint me. After saying this, Immortal Lord Ji Shui turned and left, leaving behind Fengzhou and Duzhou. Your master is not that hard to talk to, Fengzhou said with a smile. Xianyuan Mose's lips curled up, but he did not say anything. He just held her hand and walked towards the Feng Manor. In the following days, the Heavenly Pill building began to put up items after the renovations were completed. The Jade Lake was also gradually completed under Du Fan's arrangement. As the Heavenly Pill building's movements gradually spread, the various large families and powers in Hundred Rivers City also began to pay attention to the Heavenly Pill building. When the people of the Alchemy Guild heard that the Heavenly Pill building was going to be opened in the West City, they began to discuss it. This Heavenly Pill building is so bold. They actually dare to use the Heavenly Pill as their name. Do they really think that the pills they refine are divine pills? They dare to use the Heavenly Pill as their name. Perhaps this Heavenly Pill building has some powerful alchemist. No matter how powerful an alchemist is, they would not dare to use the Heavenly Pill as their name. What do the words Heavenly Pill mean? Heavenly Pill is a pill that only exists in the heavens. I want to see who will patronize this Heavenly Pill building in the deserted West City's inner street. Several alchemists in the Alchemist Guild were talking, and there were quite a few of them who were angry. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked out from the Alchemist Guild, and when the alchemists saw him, they all stood up and bowed. Vice President. I heard what you said just now. Some people who sell pills in the city came to me yesterday and told me that there must be an alchemist of the corresponding grade in every place that sells pills. You guys will follow me to check the opening day of the Heavenly Pill building. If there is no alchemist in charge, the Heavenly Pill building won't be able to continue operating here. Their eyes lit up when they heard this. The Vice President is wise. At the same time, in the Yang family. Who are your friends? There's news that it's called the Heavenly Pill building, and it's a place that sells medicinal pills and medicines. Patriarch Yang frowned and asked his daughter, but he didn't hear any response. He turned around and saw her sitting there in a daze with one hand supporting her chin. He asked, Little fool, what's wrong? Waiter. Father, what's wrong? Young little fool came back to her senses and asked her father. I say, why are you so absent-minded these days? Why are you staying at home, but your heart has flown outside? Patriarch Yang shook his head and sighed. Chapter 1951. When will they open for business? Patriarch Yang asked again. Heavenly Pill Building. It seems to be in 3 days. They will open in 3 days. She said, then said, Father, should I prepare a gift when they open? If you want to prepare a gift, what should I prepare? There are so few people in Shi City. What do you think about inviting a lion dance team to congratulate them? Patriarch Yang touched his chin and said, they bought this place from us. If it's too deserted when they open, the scene will be very ugly. How about this? When the time comes, you can go take a look at what they're selling and buy a few bottles of pills to patronize their business. Father, come with me when the time comes. Yang Xiao'er hugged his arm affectionately. I will pick out the pills in front. Father, you can follow me and prepare to pay. How about it? Hearing this, Patriarch Yang patted her head in annoyance. You child, how many days have you known them? Why are you helping them? Don't forget whose daughter you are. Of course I won't forget. I am Father's most beloved daughter. She said with a smile and shook his arm. Father, Father, come with me. Okay, we'll see. Patriarch Yang said, I still have things to do. You can go and play by yourself. As soon as his voice fell, he left first. Nalan family. In the hall, Patriarch Nalan looked at his eldest son who was sitting on the side drinking tea and asked, Ghost Doctor's Heavenly Pill Building is about to open. Did you go and take a look? No. Nalan Emochin said. After taking a sip of tea, he played with the teacup in his hand. Nalan Xian, who was sitting on the other side, looked at his father, then looked at his elder brother and said, Father, elder brother, I heard that many people in the city are eyeing this Heavenly Pill Building. Not only did they buy Patriarch Yang's land, but they also bought the area around the Jade Wave Lake. Moreover, there is a formation around the Jade Wave Lake, so you can't enter. Even if you look from other places, you can't see the scenery of the Jade Wave Lake. What's so strange about that? They are making such a big move. How can the people in the city not know? I think those who don't know their origin are already thinking of ways to deal with them. The Nalan family head slowly said as he glanced at his eldest son. He took a sip of tea and said, There are many forces in this 100 Rivers city. Although they are not united, they are united against external forces. In a place like this, only those with real strength and background can stand firm and be accepted by the other forces in the city. Otherwise, there will be endless trouble. Nalan Xian heard this and asked, Father, didn't you say that this Heavenly Pill Building has the strength? Hearing this, Nalan family head glared at his youngest son and coughed lightly. He looked at his eldest son who had been silent all this time and was somewhat annoyed. Mo Chin, don't you have anything to say? Mo Chin looked up at him with a gentle smile on her face. Father, aren't you talking to Xian? What else do I need to say? Chapter 1952. Mo Chin gently smiled and shook his head. He calmly said, Father, you don't understand Fingzhou. She also has a strange temper. The Nalan family head was startled and asked, What strange temper? She never flatters or curries favor with others, nor does she like others flattering or currying favor with her. If someone catches her eye, even if their strength is low and not worth looking at, she will treat them differently. If someone doesn't catch her eye, no matter how strong they are or how much influence they have, she won't even look at them. He smiled and looked at his father, saying, In truth, I don't have a deep relationship with her. To be honest, I am only someone that Master sent to her side to protect her. So Father, don't even think of using me to establish a relationship with her. The Nalan family's foundation is enough for the Nalan family to have a firm foothold in 100 River City. Don't do anything fake. If you do that, not only will you not be noticed by others, you will also be looked down upon by others. He put down the teacup in his hand and stood up. He gently brushed his robe and slowly said, Speaking of which, I haven't gone to see her in a few days. I'll go take a walk today. I won't be coming back for dinner tonight. As soon as he finished speaking, he strode out. His footsteps were light and graceful, like an exiled immortal who was treading on the clouds. Even his father and younger brother were unable to recover from their shock. This brat. The Nayland family head cursed, but he could not get angry. He knew that he was reminding them not to do anything that would disqualify them. Father, I'll go with Big Brother. Nayland Zian said this. Without waiting for his father to respond, he quickly chased after them. Big Brother, wait for me. I'll go too. Watching his two sons leave, the Nayland family head shook his head and walked out with his hands behind his back. Feng Manor. The first time he came here, Nayland Zian followed his elder brother's side like a country bumpkin entering a city. He looked left and right and quietly exclaimed, "Heavens! There's actually an array here. Who set up this array? I definitely wouldn't be able to walk in by myself. The Feng Manor looks very normal from the outside. Who would have thought that there would be such a big world inside? Big Brother, look. Their pavilions are even more exquisite than ours. Is there an expert hiding in the dark? Why do I feel like I'm being watched ever since I came in?" Nayland Zian, who was next to Mo Chin, muttered in a low voice. Because he was not looking in front, he accidentally bumped into his brother who suddenly stopped in front of him. He could not help but touch his nose and smile embarrassedly. "Big Brother, why did you suddenly stop?" Mo Chin looked at him, shook his head, and said, "Don't make a fuss over nothing. You're still the second young master of the Nayland family. How would I dare to bring you out like this?" Hearing this, Nayland Zian's face turned slightly red, but he still nodded seriously, "Yes, I know." As they were speaking, they saw a cold and elegant woman in black clothes walking over from not far away. When he saw the woman in black with a unique temperament, he couldn't help but tug on his brother's sleeve. "Big Brother, who is that lady?" Mo Chin followed his gaze and said, "She's called Ling Shuang. She's one of Feng Zhou's people." After saying this, he saw his little brother staring at Ling Shuang. He could not help but warn him, the people at Feng Zhou's side are not to be trifled with. Put away your thoughts. Don't even think about provoking her. Chapter 1953. Young Master Mo Chin, Ling Shuang nodded slightly. "Master and the Yama Lord are in the backyard. Do you need me to show you the way?" "No need, you can go do your thing. We can go by ourselves." Mo Chin smiled and waved his hand. Hearing this, Ling Shuangwei turned to the side and let them go first. However, after Mo Chin walked past her, the young man next to her looked at her with a smile. The person who should have walked past her stopped in front of her and didn't move. "Miss Ling Shuang, I'm Nayland Zian. He's my elder brother." He gestured to Mo Chin in front of him and quickly left without waiting for Ling Shuang to say anything. Ling Shuang looked at the smiling face of the young man in the brocade robe and his strange behavior. She glanced at his back in confusion and then turned to leave. Mo Chin slowed down her steps and glanced at the little brother beside her. "What are you doing?" "I didn't do anything. I just said hello to Miss Ling Shuang," Nayland Zian said happily. Hearing this, Mo Chin glanced at him, but didn't say anything else and walked inside. Not long after, they arrived at the inner courtyard. Before they entered, they heard Feng Zhou and Xianyuan Mo's talking. "You don't have to give me so much. I don't need it," Xianyuan Mo said. "How can you not need it? What if you need it if you take it with you?" Feng Zhou categorized the elixirs and medicines and said, "It's written here what the elixirs are and what their effects are. I'll prepare some other things for you in 2 days," she said and asked him to put away the things on the table. Xianyuan Mo shook his head helplessly and had no choice but to put everything into his interspatial ring. At that moment, he raised his eyes to look outside the courtyard and saw Mo Chin and Nayland Zian walking over. "Aju, what are you preparing for him?" Do I have a share? Imo-chan smiled and walked to the table to sit down. Nalan Xian didn't dare to sit down and just stood behind him. Fengjiu glanced at the two people, smiled slightly, and said to Nalan Xian, "Second young master, sit." When Nalan Xian heard this, he revealed a smile. Just as he was about to sit down, he saw the black-robed cold-looking man in front of him. Nalan Xian could not help but cough softly and say, "There's no need. I will just stand. I came with my brother. You guys can chat. There's no need to mind me." Hearing this, Fengjiu was slightly startled. He carefully looked at him and found that Imo-chen's younger brother's appearance was also extremely outstanding. However, unlike Imo-chen's banished immortal temperament, this Nalan Xian had the bearing of a noble young master. His brocade clothes couldn't hide his nobility. "Have you received the latest news from the city?" Imo-chen looked at the two of them and asked. Xianyuan Mose didn't say anything and just poured tea and drank. Fengjiu smiled and said, "I heard some rumors, but it doesn't matter. It's better to be more lively, isn't it?" Since they were all paying attention to the Heavenly Pill building, she would give them a surprise. "It seems that you have a card up your sleeve. Then I'm relieved." As he spoke, he saw Xianyuan Mose glance at him from the side as he sipped his tea. Xianyuan Mose's deep and magnetic voice was neither cold nor warm. "You're worrying too much." Chapter 1954. Nalan Xian was a little surprised when he heard his brother's words. He didn't expect that his brother, who had always been like an immortal, would have such a side to him. Was he deliberately trying to provoke the black-robed man? Looking at his otherworldly appearance, Xianyuan Mose suddenly curved his lips. "Speaking of which, Joe, you still don't know, right?" Suddenly hearing Xianyuan Mose say something without rhyme or reason, Fengjiu was slightly startled. She was a little puzzled and asked, "Don't know what?" When Nalan Xian heard this and noticed his brother's slightly stiff expression, he was also slightly surprised. He couldn't help but look at the black-robed man and thought to himself, why do these words sound so inexplicable? Although Imo-chen's face was still indifferent, when he heard Xianyuan Mose's words, he knew what he was going to say. His expression and body slightly stiffened. Not only did Nalan Xian notice it, but Fengjiu, who didn't know what was going on, also noticed it. Xianyuan Mose leisurely glanced at Imo-chen, picked up the teacup and took a sip of tea. He said neither hurriedly nor slowly, "Not long ago, our young master Imo-chen went to a brothel and spent the night. I heard that he called several women to serve him at that time." Fengjiu, who was drinking tea, couldn't help but choke when she heard this. Cough cough. She coughed twice, put down the teacup, and looked at Imo-chen with a stunned expression. "That's impossible, right?" From her understanding, Imo-chen wasn't such a person. Moreover, if he wanted women, what kind of women couldn't he have? Could it be? A thought floated up, and the corner of her mouth couldn't help but twitch. No wonder Moses' words a few days ago had a hidden meaning. When Imo-chen came to the wall that night, he also said something about being plotted against. So it was like this. Standing behind Imo-chen, Nalan Xian's eyelids twitched when he heard this. He couldn't help but glance at the black-robed man. He and his father had guessed for so long but still couldn't guess who the person who plotted against his brother was. Unexpectedly, it was the person in front of them. No wonder the two of them didn't seem to get along. Imo-chen coughed lightly and said, "Didn't I tell you a few days ago? I accidentally drank a few glasses of wine and got tricked by a black-hearted person." "Oh, I see." Fengjiu held back his laughter and looked at him sympathetically. Needless to say, that scene must have been. Nalan Xian, who was standing behind Imo-chen, saw that she was looking at his brother sympathetically, so he said without thinking, "Ghost doctor, actually, my brother wasn't hurt at all. He was just touched by a few girls, and after he got home, he took a few showers. Even the skin was almost broken." His voice became softer and softer, because the elder brother in front of him had suddenly turned his head and was coldly staring at him. He didn't even dare to breathe loudly and silently looked away, pretending to look at the scenery around him. Naturally, he couldn't say the rest of his words. Poochie. Ha 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 ha. Fingyo couldn't help but laugh out loud. From a light chuckle to a joyful laugh in the end, he laughed without any care for his image, but it seemed so straightforward and natural. Looking at the happy Fingyo, Emochan shook his head helplessly and said with a warm smile, "I'm satisfied that my embarrassing incident can make Joe laugh." Chapter 1955. Emochan and his brother sat in the foam manor for a while before leaving. Fingyo prepared some things for Xianyuanmo's because he would be leaving soon. Adding on the fact that the Heavenly Pill building would be opening in a few days, they were quite busy. Over the next few days, they practically did not leave the manor. Until this night. After the meal, everyone sat in the foam manor's backyard. Du Fan and Leng Hua reported on the Heavenly Pill building's matters. Luo Yu and the other 8 Phoenix guards had also returned. "I don't think anyone will have any time to rest tonight. Are you all prepared?" Fingyo looked at everyone and asked with a smile. "Master, don't worry. We are all prepared." Everyone replied. She nodded and ordered, "All right then. In a moment, go to the Heavenly Pill building and prepare. Also, have people stand guard inside and outside the building. Don't cause any trouble tomorrow." "Yes." Everyone replied and left first. Only Ling Shuang and Leng Hua remained at Fingzhou's side. "You don't have to go. Tonight, I need to prepare things for refining pills. I don't think I have time to accompany you." Fingzhou looked at Xianyuanmo's and said. Xianyuanmo stood up and held her hand. "It's all right. I'll go to the pavilion. I'll be able to keep an eye on things." Hearing this, Fingzhou faintly smiled. "All right then. Then you can go sit in the pavilion. When I'm done tomorrow, I'll go accompany you." Thus, she held his hand and walked out. Ling Shuang and Leng Hua, who were behind him, glanced at each other and followed him to the Heavenly Pill building. Fingzhou and the others were looking forward to the opening of the Heavenly Pill building tomorrow. The various families and powers in the city were curious and were waiting to see a joke. With such a big commotion, it would be funny if there were no guests in Shi City tomorrow. This was because the Heavenly Pill House would open for business tomorrow. Everyone was paying attention to it because they knew that there was no one in the West City's inner street. Not to mention the peddlers, even the shops next to it had not been rented out yet. There was only one Heavenly Pill House in the entire inner street. On this night, although the Heavenly Pill building was closed, it was brightly lit. There were faint figures walking around in the building. The backyard of the Heavenly Pill building had been transformed into an alchemy room. At this time, Fingzhou was busy inside. No one knew why she wanted to enter the alchemy room to concoct pills at this time. At this time, shouldn't she be preparing how to attract guests tomorrow? Outside the courtyard, Ling Shuang was guarding. Du Fan, Leng Hua and the others were placing pills and medicines. In this building, there was only one pill and medicine. The first floor was filled with ordinary pills and medicines, as well as some medicine for knife wounds. Although the first floor was listed as an ordinary medicine area, if someone from the outside came in and took a look, they would definitely be shocked and amazed. These so-called ordinary medicines were all top-notch items in the eyes of others outside. Even if they were of the same type of medicine, compared to others, these were all top-notch items. After all of these medicines were made by Fingzhou, so their effects and grades were naturally extraordinary. However, not only did the people outside not know what kind of method Fingzhou would use to open the Heavenly Pill building, even the people inside the Heavenly Pill building were clueless. Chapter 1956. This strange fragrance was rich and light. It had a faint medicinal fragrance, but it was not pungent. On the contrary, it smelled very good. Moreover, after it was emitted from the heavenly pill dispensary, it was accompanied by a cool breeze. As a result, this fragrance could be smelled in the inner street and at the end of the street. In the heavenly pill dispensary, everyone was amazed. They admired their master even more in their hearts. They were originally thinking about what to do if the opening day was too quiet. They did not expect that their master would come up with such a method. With such a strange fragrance being emitted from the heavenly pill dispensary, those people would definitely come to take a look out of curiosity. Moreover, not only the aristocratic families, but also the commoners, as long as they smelled this strange medicinal fragrance, they would definitely come. Looking at the situation, when the heavenly pill dispensary opened tomorrow morning, it would definitely be crowded. Master is amazing. She can even think of such a method. Luo Yu could not help but praise. He was full of admiration in his heart. She is indeed amazing. Master's talent in alchemy is really unparalleled in the world. This strange fragrance has not dissipated for a long time. I really don't know how she refined it. Fan Lin was also amazed. He also knew a little about medicine and alchemy, so he naturally knew how difficult it was to refine this long-lasting fragrance. Moreover, such a pill had never appeared before. Every bottle here has the word Ghost Doctor on it. I've been to other places in the city to see pills and the like. Their top-notch pills can't even be compared to what Master said to be ordinary medicines. Wei Feng, who was beside him, grinned. He also had a face full of anticipation. As one of the 8 captains of the Phoenix Guards, they were very excited to be able to follow their master and watch him shine here. Gu Mo, who was beside them, said, "All right, don't crowd here. It's almost dawn. Let's disperse." The 8 of them responded and dispersed. In the heavenly pill house, in addition to the 8 of them, there were also some Phoenix Guards who had been transferred over. Now, there were people watching inside and outside, both in the open and in the dark. There was no need to worry that someone would cause trouble at the opening tomorrow. In less than 2 hours, the entire 100 Rivers city was filled with a peculiar medicinal fragrance. This medicinal fragrance made everyone who smelled it feel refreshed. Those who were depressed in their hearts gradually felt their depression dissipate when they smelled the medicinal fragrance. This caused everyone who smelled the fragrance to be amazed. After being amazed, they became even more curious. Do you guys smell it? The medicinal fragrance in the air smells really good. I wonder where it came from. Who in the entire 100 Rivers city hasn't smelled this medicinal fragrance? I smelled it when I was half asleep this morning. I got out of bed early in the morning and looked around. I don't know where this medicinal fragrance came from. This medicinal fragrance is really amazing. My chest has been tight these days, but when I smell this medicinal fragrance, the depression in my heart dissipates a lot. I feel relaxed. Speaking of which, I feel very comfortable all over when I smell this medicinal fragrance. Look, everyone on the street is asking around. They are all looking for the source of this medicinal fragrance. Chapter 1957. I know where this fragrance is coming from. The voice was loud and excited, attracting everyone's attention. They saw Yang Xiao, who was dressed in a light green dress, standing on the carriage and shouting excitedly, "This medicinal fragrance is coming from the heavenly pill house on the Western Market's inner street." Western Market's inner street? How is that possible? There are no people on those 2 streets, and the shops there seem to belong to the Yang family. They haven't been rented out. That's right. There aren't even any hawkers on the Western Market's inner street, so how could there be a heavenly pill house? That's right, I've never heard of it either. I rarely go there, so there's no one there. Hearing everyone's discussion, Yang Xiao, put his hands on his hips and said, "Where is there no one?" That's because you don't know. You'll know when you go and take a look. The Heavenly Pill House is opening today, and they're selling divine pills and miraculous medicines. The originally empty inner street has been filled with hawkers since early this morning, and you still don't know about it." Hearing this, everyone was stunned and surprised. After discussing among themselves, they all headed towards the Western Market's inner street, intending to see what was going on. Seeing everyone rushing towards the Western Market's inner street, Yang Xiao smiled and lifted the curtain of the carriage. "Father, look, Sister Feng has a way, right? Look, everyone in the city is rushing towards the Heavenly Pill House. It seems that their business today will be very good." Patriarch Yang sat in the carriage with a thoughtful expression. After hearing his daughter's words, he only said, "Then why aren't you getting someone to drive the carriage? How long do you plan to stay here?" In just one night, the entire city was filled with a strange fragrance, and almost everyone in the 100-River City was alarmed. Because he had sent people to pay attention to it, before he even went to the Heavenly Pill Building, he already knew that the Heavenly Pill Building had spread the medicinal fragrance, and the small stalls on the inner street were already packed to the brim. "All right, I'll go right away." Yang Xiao quickly got into the carriage and asked the coachman to hurry up. On the other side, over at the Alchemist Guild, everyone was extremely surprised. "I have never heard of such a strange fragrance before. This fragrance is unique and it does not dissipate even after a long time. Moreover, anyone who smells this fragrance will feel refreshed. Even I am unable to refine such a medicinal fragrance." The one who spoke was the president of the Alchemist Guild. Because of the strange fragrance, the whole city was alarmed. Even he, who was in seclusion, was alarmed. After asking about the Heavenly Elixir Building, he came to a decision after thinking it over and over again. "How about this? Bring some congratulatory gifts. Let's go and congratulate him. At the same time, let's see what kind of person the owner of this Heavenly Pill House is," the president said and signaled the alchemists below him to go and prepare. Everyone looked at each other when they heard this. The vice president hesitated for a moment before saying, "President, this isn't too good, right?" The moment the Heavenly Pill House opened, they caused such a commotion. "This is stealing the glory of our alchemy guild. If we bring gifts to congratulate them, won't people think that our alchemy guild can't compare to the Heavenly Pill House? What's there to fuss about? There are many capable people in the world. This alchemist can refine such a strange fragrance, so he must be an alchemy genius. Why should we fuss about it? Go and prepare. The congratulatory gifts can't be shabby," he said and waved his hand. Seeing this, everyone didn't say anything more. After quickly preparing, they followed him to the Heavenly Pill House on the inner street of the Western City. Chapter 1958. Smell it. The fragrance is indeed the strongest here. This is the pill fragrance coming from the Heavenly Pill Building. I really wonder what kind of pill it is. Why is it emitting such a strange fragrance? It's not even dawn yet, but the inner streets of the West Market are already packed with people. Look at how many stalls there are on the inner streets of the West Market. There are even more people here than at the center of the East Gate. I heard that many businesses want to rent the shop next to the Heavenly Pill Building, but that place belongs to the Yang family. The Yang family's shops on these two streets have always been empty. Looking at the situation today, I'm afraid that they will be robbed clean. I really want to go into the Heavenly Pill Building to take a look. It's just that it's already dawn. Why hasn't it opened yet?" The crowd outside was discussing and couldn't wait to go in and take a look. However, as more and more people gathered and the sky became brighter, they still didn't see the Heavenly Pill Building open. Fengzhou, who was behind the Heavenly Pill Building, had people carry the pills that had been refined and placed them on a counter in the center of the first floor. After preparing everything, she glanced at Leng Hua and Du Fan and said with a smile, "Since everything is ready, then open the door when it's time." "Yes." The two of them responded and watched their master go upstairs. When it was 7 in the morning, they prepared everything and opened the door of the building. When the door of the Heavenly Pill Building opened with a creak, Du Fan and Leng Hua looked at each other and smiled when they saw the crowded street outside. It's open, it's open. When the crowd outside saw the door of the Heavenly Pill building open, they shouted in surprise and wanted to squeeze inside. One by one, they pushed and shoved, causing the scene to be a little chaotic. Seeing this scene, Du Fan's voice, which contained spiritual energy, spread out at this time. Everyone. Wait a moment, don't push. As soon as his voice came out, the crowd quieted down and stopped pushing. They all looked at the two people standing at the entrance of the Heavenly Pill building and were surprised at how young they were. Today is the opening day of our Heavenly Pill building. Since everyone has smelled the fragrance, please don't push when you enter. Here, I will first tell everyone that our Heavenly Pill building has 3.5 floors. The first floor is for the general public's elixirs, medicines, and medicinal powders. The second floor is more precious. In addition to gold coins, you must also have the corresponding medicines to exchange for the elixirs on the second floor of our Heavenly Pill building. As for other things, I won't say much here. The rules of our Heavenly Pill building are written on the walls of our building. Heavenly Pill building. As soon as Du Fan's voice fell, the crowd couldn't help but be surprised. How could he be so strict? At this time, a roll of firecrackers was thrown down from the second floor. Leng Hua ignited the firecrackers, and for a moment, crackling sounds rang out. The exploding red bubble paper accompanied by bursts of light smoke sprinkled down from above. It was a very beautiful sight. Just as the sound of the firecrackers fell, the red silk covering the 3 words Heavenly Pill building was also taken off, revealing the 3 majestic words and the large mahogany plaque. Everyone, please come in. Chapter 1959. Wow! The decoration inside is very high class. You can tell at a glance that it's very high-end. The things here should be very expensive, right? A person whispered, and another person next to him gasped. Hiss. This kind of thing is actually only at the ordinary level. Look, this is a pill that can save your life at a critical moment. It's written here that this pill is at the top of the 3rd grade. If your battle strength is exhausted, as long as you take this pill, you can quickly recover your battle strength. Moreover, your battle strength can last for about half an hour. This is a good thing. This thing is good, but look at the price. It's not something that ordinary people can afford. Another person whispered and pointed at the price written below. When they saw the price, the people surrounding the pill couldn't help but gasp in shock. Although they knew that this pill was worth this price, they really couldn't afford the price marked on it. It's really a good thing. I'll buy this pill. A middle-aged man with a big belly squeezed forward and excitedly pointed at the pill bottle placed inside the transparent counter. A medicine made from the Heavenly Dan building came forward. She was holding a notebook and a pen in her hands. She looked at the pregnant middle-aged man in embroidered clothes and said, "Dear customer, please come here and register the type of pill you want, as well as your information. After that, we will send someone to examine the pill for you. Once the pill is examined, the payment will be made." Hearing this, the middle-aged man in the embroidered robe laughed happily. Good, good, good. So there was someone to check the pill. That was just right. He didn't have to go back and find someone to check it. When the people next to him heard this, they couldn't help but whisper, "So you have to register to buy their pills here?" They actually don't hand over the money and the goods at the same time. But this is also good. The people who buy the pills can be more at ease. Inside, some people saw that most of the pills were not displayed. Most of them were bottles and labels. Only a few pills were placed on the counter. So, a man asked, "We can't see it. Who knows if it's what we want to buy? You should pour out the pills in this bottle for us to see." Because the surrounding people had lowered their voices, this man's loud voice attracted the attention of the surrounding people. In the crowd, Ling Hua slowly walked over and waved his hand to signal the medicine maid to go somewhere else. He then personally greeted the man who had just spoken. "Sir, if you like any pill, you can register it and then go check it out. Our heavenly pill building only has a few pills that can be displayed for people to see. If you have any other questions, you can ask me." "Ask you? Who are you here? Can you make up your mind?" The man snorted coldly and looked disdainfully at the gentle-looking young man in front of him. Ling Hua smiled gently. "I'm one of the managers here. My surname is Lang. Are you interested in this healing Niden? If so, I can test the pill for you right now." The man glanced at the price marked below the pill and his eyelids twitched. He said, "Such an expensive thing, and I haven't even seen the color and grade of the pill. Who would casually say they want to buy it? Do you have an alchemist here?" What was the rank of an alchemist? Don't tell me it's someone who isn't presentable outside. Chapter 1960. Lang Hua glanced at him indifferently and said slowly, "Our heavenly pill house focuses on medicinal pills and medicines. You can take anything from our building to verify it, and no one will question it. If you want to continue looking at other medicinal pills in our building, then please lower your voice and don't disturb others. Look, there are medicinal pills displayed here. Whether it's the color or the pill patterns, this medicinal pill is definitely a rare good thing." A voice came and pulled everyone's attention back. A large group of people rushed to the person who spoke and looked at the medicinal pills placed on the counter. "Look, there are also medicinal pills displayed here. There are also pill patterns on them. It's a 4th-level medicinal pill." A cry of surprise came and the crowd rushed over again. Someone rushed to shout, "I want this 4th-level medicinal pill. I want it. Help me register it first. Look. This is a medicinal pill. There's actually such a beautiful medicinal pill. This bottle is transparent, but the medicinal pill is actually glowing. It's incredible. Hiss. The grade of this medicinal pill. It can't be. This grade is actually listed as ordinary by the Heavenly Pill House." The exclamations of the crowd were incessant. Although they had lowered their voices, the exclamations could still be heard from time to time. Those who had seen a lot of things before were like country bumpkins who had just entered a city. Everything was new to them. "Look. This is the medicinal pill that's emitting a strange fragrance. This medicinal pill is actually as big as a fist. I've never seen such a big medicinal pill. How did the Heavenly Pill House refine it? Such a big medicinal pill, one person can't swallow it." Du Fan walked out from the crowd and stood in front of the fist-sized medicinal pill. He said, "Everyone, this is the strange fragrance pill. It was refined by my master using hundreds of precious spiritual flowers. This strange fragrance pill is not a single person's portion, but multiple portions. As long as you take a small strange fragrance pill the size of a fingernail, it will naturally transform into a body's fragrance. It's most suitable for women to take." He paused and said, "This strange fragrance pill has the miraculous effect of improving one's spirit and chi. Moreover, when a cultivator cultivates, their cultivation speed will also increase. Poisonous creatures such as snakes and insects will automatically retreat when they smell this strange fragrance, not daring to approach." Hearing Du Fan's words, everyone exclaimed, "I didn't expect there to be such a medicinal pill." Yes. Taking a fingernail-sized pill has such a miraculous effect. And poisonous creatures such as snakes and insects don't dare to approach you. If you carry such a medicinal pill with you, won't you be able to protect yourself when you go out to train in places with snakes and poisonous creatures? Everyone exclaimed in shock as they discussed amongst themselves. Someone who heard this had an idea and asked, "Then how do we buy this strange fragrance pill?" Du Fan smiled and said, "All of you, go over there to register. We'll have someone check your pills and hand them over." Hearing this, the people who wanted to buy rushed to the other side of the hall to register. Outside the Heavenly Pill building, the Yang family's patriarch and Yang Shao, who had just arrived, were shocked by the scene in front of them. Wow! There are so many people. It's so lively. Today's business in the city can't be compared to the Heavenly Pill house, right? Yang Shao said excitedly. She turned around and pulled her father's sleeve. Father, look, business is good. Chapter 1961. Big Brother Leng Hua. Yang Shao let go of her father's hand and quickly ran over to Leng Hua. My father and I are here. Today's opening business is so good. Is there anything I can do to help? Leng Hua smiled slightly and nodded at her. Miss Shao, is a guest today. How could I ask for your help? He paused and then gestured to the two of them. Patriarch Yang, Miss Shao, please come in. The Yang family head nodded slightly and didn't say much. He walked inside. Although he didn't show it on his face, he was already very curious. What kind of scene was inside? What kind of pills would there be? Filled with curiosity, he walked in with his daughter. When he entered, he couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the densely packed customers inside. He didn't expect that there would be so many people inside even though there were so many people outside. Moreover, there were so many people inside, but it wasn't noisy. Instead, they were all whispering in low voices. He noticed that some of the old men from the various clans in the city had also come. They were gathered around the counter in groups of 3 or 4, talking about something. He walked forward from the back and leaned forward to take a look. His eyes widened as he whispered, "Fourth order origin breaking pill. This color is definitely of the highest quality." As he whispered, he pushed aside the people from the various clans and squeezed forward to take a closer look. His expression was excited. It can't be wrong, it can't be wrong. It's a fourth order origin breaking pill. This rare pill is actually placed in this corner. It's really. He couldn't think of anything to say, but his expression was full of excitement. He immediately turned around and said to Leng Hua, who was slowly walking over, "I want this pill. Wrap it up for me, wrap it up for me." The patriarchs and elders of the various clans looked at each other and then laughed. One of them patted Patriarch Yang's shoulder and said, "Brother Yang, don't be too excited. This origin-breaking pill has already been bought by someone. We just asked, there's no more left." "That's right, we came before you and didn't even get a single one. You're so slow to get here. Even if there was one, it would have been taken by someone else." An old man next to him also said, stroking his beard. His originally unbalanced mood was finally balanced. "That's right. The Heavenly Dan building's pills were all limited in quantity. The rank for you on breaking pill that was placed here had already been bought by someone." Sigh. "Old Yang, seeing that you can't buy it, I feel balanced." The Yang family's patriarch glared at them and said, "You old bastards, you're all psychopaths. Your mentality is bad. It's not balanced." Humph. He turned around and looked at Leng Hua, who was slowly walking over, and immediately walked up with a smile. "Leng Hua, do you still have this origin-breaking pill? Can you tell your master to sell one to me?" Hearing this, Leng Hua smiled gently and said, "Since Patriarch Yang has spoken, I will tell my master about this matter. I believe that not only because of young lady Yang's face, but also because Patriarch Yang readily sold this building to us, my master will also make an exception for Patriarch Yang." He spoke slowly. These few words made Patriarch Yang's heart burst with joy. His impression of Leng Hua suddenly improved, and he felt that he had gained face in front of his old friends. He was very happy. Chapter 1962. As soon as he finished speaking, he didn't forget to turn around and look at the envious and jealous people. Although he didn't say anything, his expression seemed to say, look, my face is still bigger, right? Lang Hua smiled. After saying goodbye, he was about to turn around and leave, but he was stopped by those people. Manager Lang, look, this. One of them stepped forward and rubbed his hands. He also wanted a breakthrough energy pill. Lang Hua didn't wait for them to speak. He smiled and said, everyone, take your time. Besides the first floor, there are also many good things on the second floor. He pointed to the staircase on the second floor and said, with your wealth and strength, you are already qualified to go up to the second floor. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and left, not giving them a chance to speak. The second floor. By the way, they said that the things on the second floor are better. The first floor only has some ordinary things. Should we go up and take a look? One of them suggested. Let's go. There's nothing wrong with going up and taking a look. Another person also said and walked toward the staircase on the second floor. However, at this moment, a noise came from outside the door, and they couldn't help but stop in their tracks. Look! The president of the Alchemy Guild is here. Don't tell me they're here to cause trouble. After all, the Heavenly Pill House made such a big commotion. Will they? It shouldn't be, right? No matter what, he is still the president of the Alchemy Guild. Moreover, this president is not the vice president. If it were the vice president, it would be possible. But if it's the president, you can rest assured. He is a very fair and upright person. He shouldn't play any dirty tricks. Listening to the whispers of the crowd, the vice president, who was following behind the president, blushed and glanced at those people angrily. However, he couldn't vent his anger because the president was here. Otherwise, he would definitely teach these people a lesson. Today is the grand opening of the Heavenly Pill House. We came here to congratulate you. I wonder who is the manager of this house? The president asked with a smile as his gaze swept across the crowd. Du Fan and Lang Hua looked at each other and walked forward at the same time. We are the managers of the Heavenly Pill House. My surname is Lang. My surname is Du. The two introduced each other briefly. After that, Du Fan didn't say anything else. Instead, he glanced at Lang Hua. Lang Hua asked warmly, how should I address you? My surname is Fan, and I am the president of the Alchemy Guild in Hundred River City. You can call me President Fan. He smiled and gestured behind him as he said, I'm here today to congratulate the Tower Lord. It's just a small token of appreciation. Lang Hua smiled and said, President Fan, you're exaggerating. My master has already instructed that the Heavenly Elixir building will only receive guests and not gifts. President Fan, you might as well take back your gift and take a look around our Heavenly Elixir building first. How dare you? The vice president behind him shouted sternly. He glared at Lang Hua and shouted, the president personally came to deliver the congratulatory gift because he wanted to meet the owner of this building. How dare you, a lowly steward, so rudely refuse? Facing his rebuke, Lang Hua smiled gently and asked, how should I address you? I am the vice president of the Alchemy Guild. He puffed out his chest and raised his chin. Chapter 1963. The young man in front of him had only asked a question and then ignored him. The vice president's heart burned with anger. He was a little angry, but also a little embarrassed. He was the vice president of the Alchemy Guild. This young man actually dared to ignore him like this. He was really arrogant and didn't know any manners. Just as he was about to angrily rebuke him, he caught a glimpse of the guild president's gaze. He couldn't help but swallow his anger. In that case, I'll put away this gift first. He waved his hand, indicating for the alchemist to put away the gift and leave. Then, he said to Lang Hua, I just don't know if I could trouble Steward Lang to accompany me and explain. I'd be honored. Lang Hua made a gesture of invitation and walked inside with him. The people who were paying attention to this side all dispersed. Although they didn't stare at them anymore, they still secretly paid attention to them. As they walked inside, Ling Hua said warmly from the side, "The pills on this floor are all listed as ordinary by my master. In addition to the pills, there are also some commonly used medicines and things like knife wound powder." They looked around while listening to Ling Hua's explanation. When they saw that there were only medicine bottles placed in the cabinets but no pills, they frowned slightly. They didn't see any pills. There was only a medicine bottle and some notes with the pill's grade and price written on it. As they walked further inside, they saw a pill placed in a cabinet. When they saw the pill, the alchemists behind the guild president narrowed their eyes and quickly walked forward. "This is a 4th level pill. A 4th level pill is just an ordinary pill. Look at the color of this pill and how beautiful the pill patterns are. This is a top-grade 4th level pill. This kind of pill is actually listed as an ordinary pill. What a waste of God's gift," an alchemist said with an agitated expression. His expression was indignant, as if he felt that such a precious pill shouldn't be listed as an ordinary pill. Hearing the alchemist's words, the people around laughed in low voices. Is this a waste of God's gift appropriate? Is this alchemist too excited? Cough. The president in front coughed lightly and shot a glance at the agitated and indignant alchemist. "Lower your voice, you are not allowed to make a ruckus in here." While speaking, he pointed to a few words hanging on the wall that prohibited loud ruckus. When the alchemist saw that everyone was looking at him, his face couldn't help but turn red. He responded with a yes before lowering his eyes. However, his gaze still occasionally glanced towards the 4th-grade upper-grade medicinal pill on the counter, his eyes filled with admiration. If such a medicinal pill was only an ordinary medicinal pill, then what would a medicinal pill be like if it was classified as a rare medicinal pill? Thinking of this, his heart was filled with excitement, and he was full of expectations for the heavenly pill house. At this time, he no longer had his original anger and disdain. Just from the fact that it was a 4th-stage upper-grade pill, he already knew that there was definitely a heavyweight alchemist in charge. Ling Hua maintained a warm smile on his face. He looked at them and gestured for them to enter. "The pill in the center in front of us is the strange fragrance pill. It's a pill newly refined by my master. The strange fragrance that fills the city is also the fragrance of this strange fragrance pill." Chapter 1964. "That's right," Ling Hua replied and didn't say anything else. Instead, he let them look at the pill by themselves. The president of the Alchemist Guild smelled the medicinal fragrance and looked at the fist-sized pill. His face was filled with astonishment as he exclaimed, "This should be a pill refined from over 100 types of precious spiritual flowers. From the color and medicinal fragrance of the pill, I can tell that this is definitely a precious item." Ling Hua stood to the side and didn't say anything else. These people were the president of the Alchemy Guild, so they could naturally tell how good the pill was. "Manager Lang, I want this Origin Breaker pill." An alchemist pointed at the pill placed in the corner of the counter and said. Ling Hua glanced at the pill and smiled slightly. "This Origin Breaker pill has been sold out." Not only this one, but most of the pills on the 1st floor had already been reserved. "You can go to the 2nd floor to take a look. There aren't many pills on the 2nd floor, but every one of them is definitely a treasure among treasures." Ling Hua gestured to them and invited them to go to the 2nd floor. Seeing this, the president nodded and said with a smile, "All right, let's go to the 2nd floor to take a look at the precious pills of the Heavenly Pill Building." As he said this, he walked forward, only to see a few familiar people standing on the stairs of the 2nd floor. "Patriarchs, you're here too." He greeted them with a smile. "Hee, President Fan, long time no see." The patriarch standing at the stairs also smiled and returned the greeting. They said, "We were just about to go to the 2nd floor to take a look. Since President Fan is here too, please come with us." "Please go ahead," President Fan said and gestured for them to go first. They didn't refuse and went up to the second floor first. Then, the people from the Alchemy Guild followed. Seeing them go up to the second floor, a man also wanted to go up to the second floor to take a look. However, he was stopped at the stairs. There are rules to go up to the second floor. This guest can take a look at the rules first. The person who was stopped glanced at the man who stopped him from going up, then looked at the wooden sign hanging at the side. After reading the words written on it for a while, he retreated with a red face. Someone curiously went up to take a look and saw that it said that the people who went up to the second floor not only had to have a certain amount of gold coins, they also had to be people with status. Moreover, they had to register their information in the Heavenly Pill House's book. That's normal. If you don't have the money, you can't buy it. That's true. The pills on the first floor are already not cheap, not to mention the second floor. However, I think there must be a lot of life-saving pills on the second floor. Even if the price is expensive, at least it gives people hope. I think it's good. That's right. Speaking of which, the Heavenly Pill Building opened today, but I didn't see the owner of the Heavenly Pill Building. What kind of person? It should be an old man. I heard that these pills were personally refined by the Heavenly Pill House's owner. He must be an experienced old man with the ability to refine pills and make medicine. That's true. I think he'll be an old man with a sage-like demeanor. Chapter 1965. This is a 6th grade elixir. One of the family heads was almost lying on top of the transparent counter. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the elixir placed on the counter. He couldn't hide the shock and excitement in his eyes. Lang Hua glanced at the elixir and smiled. Yes, this is a 6th grade elixir. This elixir is an advancement elixir. Cultivators of the fairy realm can break through after consuming it. This is a 5th grade recovery elixir. Isn't this a healing elixir? This color, this elixir pattern, this. Another family head also widened his eyes as he stared at the other elixir on the counter. This elixir that a few people gathered around a bottle of elixir. Looking at the words written on a small piece of paper in front of the elixir, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Can it really increase one's combat power in an instant? This is a 6th grade recovery elixir. Hiss. How heaven-defying must the person who refined this elixir be? This bottle looks a little familiar. I think I've seen it somewhere before. One of them stared at the bottle and thought for a while. Suddenly, he slapped his forehead. Oh. I remember now. This is the special bottle used by the ghost Dr. Fingzhou. He suddenly turned his head to look at the young man standing not far away. Your master is the ghost Dr. Fingzhou. The owner of this Heavenly Pill House is Fingzhou. He's the ghost doctor. Hearing this, the others were slightly startled. Who was this ghost Dr. Fingzhou? Was he famous? Why hadn't they heard of him? Is that so? Is your master Fingzhou the ghost doctor? Is the owner of this Heavenly Pill House the ghost doctor? The middle-aged man looked excited as he quickly walked in front of Lang Hua and asked. Seeing this, everyone's gazes fell on the gentle young man in white. They thought to themselves, when we go back, we have to find out who this ghost Dr. Fingzhou is. Why was the Yen clan head so agitated when he mentioned the ghost Dr. Fingzhou? Lang Hua smiled warmly, slowly saying, That's right, my master is the ghost doctor. As his voice fell, he looked at Patriarch Yen and said, Patriarch Yen has good eyesight. Hearing the confirmation, Patriarch Yen was so excited that his face turned red. It really is the ghost doctor's pill. This is great. This is great. Manager Lang, I want this medicinal pill. This one, and this one, I want both of them. As if he was afraid that someone else would beat him to it, he hurriedly pointed at the 2 pills that caught his eye. Lang Hua smiled and said, In addition to the price of the medicinal pills on the 2nd floor, you also need to exchange 3 spirit herbs to obtain them. Patriarch Yen, do you have the spirit herbs listed on each medicinal pill in your residence? Yes, 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 I happen to have all of them at home. Patriarch Yen hurriedly said. Seeing this, Leng Hua said, then I'll call someone to register for Patriarch Yen first. Later, we'll need to test the pills. Patriarch Yen can return to his residence during this period of time to prepare the items and bring them here. Once the pills are tested, you can bring them back. Good, good, good. I'll immediately go back and prepare. As he spoke, Leng Hua beckoned for someone to come over. He walked a few steps with that person, then turned back. Manager Leng, you must leave these 2 pills for me. I'll return immediately. Chapter 1966. Leng Hua didn't say much. He just accompanied them on the 2nd floor. Among them, some of the family heads took a fancy to the elixir, but they didn't have the corresponding 3 medicinal herbs to exchange for it. They asked, Manager Leng, can these 3 medicinal herbs be exchanged for gold coins? I don't have these 3 medicinal herbs in my residence, but I need this elixir very much. Do you think you can make it easier for me? I'm sorry, this is the rule set by my master. I can't break it, Leng Hua said warmly. What if I pay double the price? The family head asked, unwilling to give up. However, before Leng Hua could speak, someone next to him sneered. Do you think you can do anything with money? Do you think this heavenly pill house is short of money? It was a slightly plump middle-aged man in brocade clothes. He held his stomach with both hands and looked at Leng Hua. Manager Leng, I want this elixir. My family happens to have these 3 medicinal herbs. As he spoke, he glanced at the family head with some pride. It seems that this elixir is not fated with you. Okay, let's follow the procedure. Leng Hua said. Suddenly, he heard a commotion downstairs. He couldn't help but frown slightly and said to the air, go down and see what's going on. Yes. A voice in the dark responded. Then, they saw a black figure flash out like a ghost. It was so fast that they were stunned. They knew that someone was watching them, but they didn't expect that the person in the dark on the 2nd floor would be so good at hiding his aura. That person's speed was so fast. The black-clothed man flashed down, but they couldn't detect how many people were watching them in the dark on the 2nd floor. What surprised them even more was that this young man in white with a gentle smile on his face could mobilize such a powerful person with just a few words. It was obvious that he was not simple. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but carefully size up the young man in front of them. This young man didn't look old, but his behavior was calm and his face was gentle. He looked like he didn't have a temper. More importantly, the people present were not weak, but they couldn't see through this young man's cultivation. Was he stronger than them? So they couldn't see through his strength. That shouldn't be possible. Otherwise, did he practice some cultivation method to hide his strength? While they were guessing, the black figure who had left earlier flashed again and appeared behind Leng Hua. He whispered a few words. Everyone, you can take a look. If there's anyone who's interested and has the appropriate medicine at home, you can get someone to register you. We'll have someone to handle the handover. Leng Hua said warmly, then paused and said, something happened downstairs. I'll go down and take a look. Excuse me. The president of the Alchemy Guild nodded and said with a smile. He watched the young man turn around and leave. Only then did he look at the pills. It had to be said that the pills on the 2nd floor were more precious than those on the 1st floor. Any one of the pills here was enough to make people go crazy. However, the Heavenly Pill House actually put them out like this. Such boldness was not something an ordinary person would have. Seeing Leng Hua leave and hearing that something had happened on the 1st floor, some of the family heads walked around. The more they looked, the more their hearts itched. They only had money, and their families either lacked 1 or 2 of the 3 medicinal herbs. Some of them didn't even have one. While they were sighing in their hearts, they put on a strong front. Chapter 1967. If he continued to look, he would not be able to buy the elixir he wanted. If he continued to look, he would only feel an unbearable itch in his heart. It was a pity that he could not buy the elixirs on the second floor even if he had the money. Then, he would go to the first floor to take a look. He might even be able to buy one or two. At this time, the crowd on the first floor had gathered in a circle and were whispering to each other. In the middle of the crowd, an old man was lying motionless on the ground. His face was dark purple, and his lips and eyes were purple. He looked as if he had been poisoned. This person looks unfamiliar. He shouldn't be from our 100 Rivers city. Why did he barge in from outside just now? This person's cultivation level is at the peak of the fairy realm. This kind of strength is not weak. Even among the big families in our city, he can be considered a figure. He is still injured. Look, there is a trace of blood on his chest. Moreover, the blood has already turned black. It looks like he has been poisoned. So, this person should not have been sent by the other elixir stores in the city to cause trouble for the Heavenly Elixir Building. It doesn't look like it. However, this person did not go anywhere else but barged in here with injuries. When they saw him barge in from outside just now, many people were shocked. Who would have thought that he would fall down after just a few steps? Fan Lin, who was surrounded in the middle, helped the unconscious old man on the ground feel his pulse. He then said to Du Fan, who was beside him, "He has been poisoned. The poison has entered his veins, and all his internal organs have been damaged. He is only hanging on by a thread." Upon hearing this, Du Fan nodded. When he saw Ling Hua, he whispered something to him, then called out, "Someone, carry him to the backyard." Hearing this, the crowd was slightly surprised. Carry him to the backyard. Were the people from the Heavenly Elixir Building preparing to treat him? Just as they were all puzzled, they heard a voice. "Wait." The vice president walked down from above, glanced at Du Fan and Ling Hua, and sneered, "Isn't your Heavenly Dan Building's pill known as the Heavenly Dan pill? It is said that the Tower Master has the medical skills to bring the dead back to life. Now that there is a poisoned and injured person here, why don't we invite the Tower Master to treat this person and let us all witness the Tower Master's medical skills?" Hearing this, everyone had different expressions. This person looked like he only had a single breath left. Let the people of the Heavenly Pill House treat him. If he died, wouldn't that mean, at the same time, in the attic on the third floor, Fengjiu was resting on a soft couch with her eyes closed. She didn't know what was happening downstairs because Xianyuan Mose, who was sitting next to her, had set up a soundproof barrier so that she could have a good sleep. Therefore, they didn't know what was happening on the first floor. It wasn't until Ling Hua knocked on the door that Fengjiu slowly woke up. "You're awake?" Xianyuan Mose asked, looking at her sleepy face. "Yes, I heard someone knocking on the door." Fengjiu rubbed her eyes, looked at Xianyuan Mose, and then looked at Ling Hua, who was standing next to her. "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" If there's nothing wrong, Ling Hua shouldn't have come up. "Master, the first floor." Ling Hua briefly explained what had happened on the first floor, including the vice president's provocation. After hearing this, Fengjiu raised the corners of her mouth and smiled. "It's just a vice president. Don't pay attention to him." Chapter 1968. Do you know him? When Xianyuan Mose saw her expression, he knew that she must know the old man downstairs. They probably had some kind of relationship. "Yes," Fengjiu responded and said to Ling Hua, "Carry him to the backyard." "Yes," Ling Hua responded and quickly turned to go downstairs. "I'll go down and take a look." "You sit down first," she said to Xianyuan Mose and followed him downstairs to the backyard. At this time, the atmosphere on the first floor became a little strange because of the vice president's words. The people around them stopped whispering and looked at them, wondering how the Heavenly Pill building would deal with this matter. From the looks of it, the vice president of the Alchemy Guild wouldn't let this matter pass so easily. Even if the people of the Heavenly Pill building didn't treat the old man, dragging it out until the old man died in the Heavenly Pill building would damage the reputation of the Heavenly Pill building. After all, today was their first day of business. If someone died on their first day of business, it would be bad luck. Master ordered us to send him to the backyard. Lang Hua's voice came from behind. Everyone stepped aside and saw two men preparing to carry the old man. However, when the vice president saw this scene, he shouted again, "Wait a minute." Lang Hua frowned slightly, and Du Fan's face turned cold. However, this time, before they could speak, they heard a voice. "The vice president has repeatedly stopped me. Why? Do you have the ability to treat him?" A cold voice came from somewhere and echoed in the Heavenly Pill building. Whether it was the first floor or the second floor, everyone could hear the voice clearly. When the vice president heard this voice, he was delighted and immediately asked, "Are you the master of the Heavenly Pill building?" He finally forced him out. However, why did this voice sound like a woman? The old man in front of the vice president's life is hanging by a thread, and you still have the mind to ask me who I am and stall for time. This mentality is really shameless. Your behavior is really inconsistent with your title as the vice president of the Alchemy Guild. While Fingzhou was speaking, Lang Hua had already ordered people to carry the old man to the backyard. Seeing the man being carried away, the vice president, who had been mocked and ridiculed, turned red. He swung his sleeves and shouted angrily, "Humph! You little girl, how impudent! I think you're a coward. Otherwise, why would you hide your head and not dare to show your face?" Before he could finish his words, he suddenly felt a powerful pressure pressing down on him, forcing him to bend over and kneel down involuntarily. At the same time, he let out a muffled groan as the blood in his body surged. A mouthful of hard blood gushed out from his throat and spilled out from the corner of his mouth. At this moment, he was greatly shocked. His face turned deathly pale with a swoosh, and his body was trembling. A kind of fear that surged from the depths of his heart suddenly enveloped him, causing him to be unable to say a word. He only knew extreme fear, as if his heart and blood vessels would explode in the next moment. As long as the other party thought about it, he would immediately die. How can this monarch's woman be lectured by an ant like you? You really don't know life from death. Xianyuan Mo's voice came from the attic. Even if he didn't come down, the powerful pressure pressed down on the vice president's body. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him, causing his face to turn pale and he couldn't say a word. Chapter 1969. His face was pale, and his body was forced to bend down by the powerful pressure. He was almost lying on the ground as if he couldn't breathe, but he couldn't call for help. Seeing this, he was horrified. He hurried to the first floor, cupped his hands and said, "Please be magnanimous. He didn't mean to offend you. Get out of the Heavenly Pill building." Xianyuan Mo's deep voice rang out. He withdrew his pressure, and the kneeling vice president fell to the ground and fainted. "Quick, send him back," the president of the Alchemist Guild hurriedly said to the alchemists behind him. The alchemists came back to their senses and quickly went forward to help the unconscious vice president up. They quickly brought him out and went to the Alchemist Guild. When President Fan saw this, he couldn't help but sigh in relief. He wondered who the person upstairs was. His pressure was so powerful. If he didn't withdraw his pressure, would he have taken the vice president's life? He had no doubt about this. After letting out a light breath and calming down for a while, he suddenly realized that the unconscious old man had been carried away. After such a thing happened on the first floor, there were still no other accidents or trouble. It seemed that there were indeed many people guarding inside and outside, so no one dared to cause trouble here. Only the vice president, who didn't have a brain, would have the courage to scold the people of the Heavenly Pill building. He was really tired of living. At this time, in the backyard, Fengjiu looked at the old man with purple lips and frowned. This old man was none other than Elder Tan. However, she didn't expect to see Elder Tan in Hundred River City, and under such circumstances. Master, it seems like he's being chased. Fan Lin glanced at the old man and said, moreover, he's poisoned. The poison has entered his meridians, and only a 5th-grade detoxification pill or above can detoxify the poison in his body. In addition to the poison, his internal organs are also damaged. If you want to save him, I'm afraid that although he knew that his master's medical skills were brilliant, this old man had already stepped into the gates of hell. If he wanted to save him, it would consume a lot of pills and manpower. I know this person. No matter what, since we're here, we have to save him. She said slowly. She knew that Fan Lin's concern was that after saving Elder Tan, the enemies behind him would target the Heavenly Pill building. She took out a 5th-grade detoxification pill from the space and let Fan Lin feed it. Then, she checked Elder Tan again. After Fan Lin fed the 5th-grade detoxification pill to the old man's mouth, he stood aside and waited to help his master. Seeing her examine the old man and then take out the silver needles, he stepped forward and untied the old man's clothes. His shirt was undone, but he only saw a small wound on his chest that was oozing black blood. He didn't see any hidden weapons, so he was puzzled. He saw his master reach out and press on the side, then inserted a few needles, temporarily sealing the blood flowing on his chest. She then saw her master take out a sharp knife and make a small cut on the wound. She then used a pair of tweezers to examine the wound. Not long after, she saw the tweezers pick out a small hidden weapon. Chapter 1970. Master, this kind of hidden weapon is very strange. I've never seen it before. He looked at the hidden weapon with surprise. Such a small hidden weapon couldn't be found in the wound at all. If it was an ordinary person, they would probably think that the hidden weapon in the wound had been removed and delay the treatment. Fortunately, this person met his master. When the hidden weapon was removed, a stream of black blood spurted out from the wound. Fengjiu cleaned the wound and pulled out the silver needles. Then he stepped back and cleaned his hands. He said to Fan Lin, bandage the wound. Yes. Fan Lin responded. After applying medicine to the wound, he began to bandage it. Fengjiu picked up the hidden weapon and looked at it. His eyes moved slightly. This kind of hidden weapon was indeed never seen before, and this kind of hidden weapon was even more fatal. When the poisoned person fell into a coma, even an experienced doctor would find it difficult to discover such a small hidden weapon in the wound. A moment of carelessness would cause the poisoned person to miss the opportunity to receive treatment, and thus be fatal. Who on earth could have done this to Elder Tan? To actually use such a tyrannical poison, as well as such a hidden weapon? He thought of how Elder Tan had hidden his cultivation and stayed in that town to make a living as a small trader. That kind of life should have been peaceful and stable. How could it have been broken so suddenly? Logically speaking, the people from the Temple of Darkness couldn't have done anything to him. Then, it should be his enemy. Fan Lin, have someone guard him and take good care of him. She took out a bottle of medicine and handed it to him. If he doesn't wake up by tonight, feed this medicine to him. Yes, master, don't worry. I will personally guard him. Fan Lin nodded in response. He took the medicine and put it away. Have someone keep an eye on him. I don't think it will be peaceful in the next 2 days. She looked at Leng Hua and said. Yes. Leng Hua responded. Then he turned and walked out. However, at this moment, an old voice carrying a powerful pressure came from outside. Hand him over to us. The voice was filled with a powerful aura. As soon as the voice came out, the pressure of an expert shook the eardrums of everyone inside the Heavenly Dan building, causing the blood in their bodies to surge. They had a faint feeling that they were about to break out of their bodies, causing everyone to feel fear in their hearts. They all rushed out of the Heavenly Dan building and quickly dispersed, not daring to get close to the Heavenly Dan building. This is definitely not a fairy realm expert. He must be a celestial sage expert. That's right. Only celestial saints are capable of exerting such pressure and terrifying force. I told you that the old man who was carried into the backyard by the Heavenly Dan building's people isn't from our 100 River City, right? That old man was a nuisance. Look, didn't he provoke an enemy to hunt him down? This Heavenly Pill House's opening today is going to be a disaster. A celestial sage expert. In our city, only the patriarchs of those families have such strength. This Heavenly Dan building has provoked such a person. I'm afraid it's going to be troublesome. Not necessarily. It said that this Heavenly Dan building also has a strong force, and the force behind it is extremely shocking. The voice just now directly exerted a pressure, and the vice president of the Alchemy Guild knelt down. It can be seen that he is definitely a celestial sage expert. It's possible. However, is the owner of this Heavenly Dan building the man or the woman who spoke? Chapter 1971. Therefore, they were able to stand far away from the Heavenly Pill building as spectators, watching the 4 people surrounding the Heavenly Pill building. 2 of the 4 people looked like middle-aged men. One of them looked like a woman in her 30s, while the other was an old man in gray who stood with his hands behind his back. The 4 of them had extraordinary strength, and the pressure they exuded was very intimidating. The 4 of them stood at 4 corners not far from the Heavenly Pill building, preventing the people in the building from escaping. Obviously, they were determined to obtain the injured old man. However, even though they had surrounded the Heavenly Pill building, even though they were powerful, and even though they knew that the old man they wanted was in the building, they did not rush in to snatch him. Instead, they asked the people in the Heavenly Pill building to hand over the old man. Obviously, they did not want to become enemies with the Heavenly Pill building. When the 4 people standing on the surrounding rooftop smelled the medicinal fragrance in the air, their eyes flashed. Surprise and shock flashed across their eyes. Such a rich medicinal fragrance permeated the entire 100 Rivers city. Such a medicinal fragrance was not ordinary. What was the background of the Heavenly Pill building? Who was the alchemist who could refine such a strange fragrance? It was precisely because of these doubts in their hearts that they became fearful. As long as the other party handed over the person they wanted, they would not have to be enemies with them. In the Heavenly Pill building, Patriarch Yang looked at Fengzhou and Xianyuan Mose, who were slowly walking out. A complicated look flashed across his eyes. He paused for a moment, then stepped forward and said, "The strength of the people outside is extraordinary. I advise you not to get involved in this trouble if you don't have any friendship with the unconscious old man." Yang Xiao, who was next to him, looked worried. However, she did not say anything and just looked at them quietly. Hearing Patriarch Yang's words, Fengzhou curled his lips and smiled. "That old man happens to have some friendship with me. I'm afraid I have to take care of this matter." As she spoke, she glanced at the father and daughter and said, "Today's hospitality was not satisfactory. I don't know what will happen later. It's not safe for you to stay in this building. It's better for you to leave first. If that's the case, then I and my daughter will take our leave first." Young family head cupped his hands and said, dragging his daughter away. After all, he knew in his heart that if the 2 sides really fought, they would not be safe here. If one of them was regarded as a member of the Heavenly Pill building, it would be troublesome. "Hey, big sister Feng. Big brother Lenghua, you have to be careful." Yang Xiao shouted and was pulled out by her father. Just as the surrounding crowd was watching and the 4 people were staring at the Heavenly Pill building, they saw the father and daughter of the Yang family quickly walk out from inside and retreat into the distance with the crowd. Not long after, two more people walked out of the gate of the Heavenly Pill building. These two people were the two stewards, Lenghua and Du Fan. After that, two figures, one black and one red, walked out side by side. They stood in front of the Heavenly Pill building and looked at the four people. "I'm the owner of the Heavenly Pill building. Who are you looking for?" Fengjiu stood beside Xianyuan Mo's. Her voice was cold and carried a trace of laziness. She looked at the gray-robed old man in front of her. With just a glance, she could tell that he was an expert at the peak of the celestial saint realm. As for the other three people, two of them were at the peak of the fairy realm, while the other one was at the intermediate stage of the celestial saint realm. Chapter 1972. Everyone looked at the woman in red who had spoken and could not help but cry out in surprise. For a moment, everyone's gaze fell on the dazzling red figure. She was an extremely beautiful woman. Her appearance could be said to be peerless. Anyone who saw her would be shocked by her appearance, not to mention her extremely outstanding and unique temperament. In the immortal cultivation world, there were many beautiful women. After seeing so many beauties, they had long been immune to women's beauty. However, when they saw this woman, they still couldn't help but stare blankly at her. They couldn't help but secretly praise her. What a peerless beauty of peerless beauty! Her dazzling red clothes set off her beautiful appearance even more eye-catching. Her exquisite figure, the languid charm she exuded when she raised her hands and feet, the moving expression in her clear eyes, and the faintly discernible smile on her lips all exuded a unique charm. All of them made people hold their breaths and their hearts beat faster. This was a peerless enchanting beauty. This was a peerless beauty whose every move, every frown, and every smile was enchanting. However, it just so happened that such an enchanting and beautiful woman had an unbridled and flamboyant expression between her brows. The confidence that was emitted from her heart made her appear even more different than she was before. Such a woman was the owner of the Heavenly Pill building. Those elixirs were all made by her. Thinking of this, everyone was shocked and felt that it was somewhat inconceivable. They had originally thought that the alchemist who could refine those peerless elixirs would definitely be a white-haired old man. However, they did not expect that it would be such a charming and enchanting beauty. Not only were the surrounding people shocked and felt that it was inconceivable, but even the four people who were looking at the enchanting woman in red standing in front of the Heavenly Pill building had a strange look in their eyes. This woman actually had two unique auras, one was enchanting and the other was cold. Moreover, this unique temperament was something that they had never seen before, even though they had seen countless people. Xianyuan Mo's, who was standing beside Fengjiu, wore a silver mask on his face. Although his face was not revealed, the aura of a powerhouse still made the four people somewhat fearful. They could faintly sense a dangerous aura. If it was said that the dazzling red-clothed woman made them wary, then this black-robed masked man made them fearful. This man was standing beside the woman in red. Even though he didn't reveal his aura, they still felt that he was dangerous, very dangerous. The other three looked at the gray-robed elder, waiting for him to make the decision. Seeing this, the gray-clothed old man said in a deep voice, "Someone broke into your building earlier. I hope that the Tower Lord can return the person to us." "Oh. The person from before." Fengjiu played with the hair that fell in front of his chest and smiled. "That person was poisoned and his internal organs were damaged." "Didn't he already die?" "Our master has given orders. If he's alive, we want to see him. If he's dead, we want to see his corpse. It would be better for the Tower Lord to return the person to us." The gray-robed elder said in a gloomy voice, his brows tightly knitted together. If he wasn't a little afraid of them, why would he need to say so much to them? If it were anyone else, they would have already taken action. Chapter 1973. As soon as these words were spoken, the air suddenly turned cold, and a powerful pressure instantly enveloped the Heavenly Dan building. It was a pressure that came from all directions, directly pressuring the Heavenly Dan building, towards Feng Jiu and the others. Disposed of. Ha! Do you think we will believe you? The gray-robed old man asked in a gloomy voice, and his malicious gaze was directed at Fingzhou. The invisible pressure turned into spiritual thorns that pierced toward Fingzhou's divine sense. If an ordinary person's divine sense was attacked by a peak celestial sage's divine sense, they would not be able to withstand it. However, Fingzhou's expression did not change, and a smile that did not reach his eyes appeared on his beautiful face. If you don't believe me, what are you going to do? As soon as he finished speaking, the four people moved their hands, holding weapons in their hands, and said, "If he is alive, we want to see him. If he is dead, we want to see his corpse. If you don't hand over the corpse, don't blame us for being impolite. Are you planning to fight?" Fengzhou curled the corners of his lips. "You should think about it carefully. If you fight, you won't have a chance to turn back and escape. Is that so? Then we would like to experience your skills. Let me deal with you first." Among the four people, the weakest cultivator at the peak of the fairy realm shouted in a deep voice, and he attacked Fingzhou with the long sword in his hand. The moment he rushed out, the spiritual aura on his body burst out, and the sharp sword in his hand was suffused with a layer of sharp cold light. Sword chi whistled out, and the sword chi was threatening. In the crowd, Yang Xiao held her breath nervously and looked at the scene in front of her with worry. She could not help but tug at her father's sleeve and ask, "Father, can Sister Feng and the others defeat those people?" Looking at the calm Fingzhou and Xianyuan Mo's, Master Yang thought for a while and said, "They should be able to." After all, even he could not see the depth of their strength. Moreover, if they did not have a certain degree of confidence, how would they dare to provoke these people? However, he did not know what level their strength was at. How were they going to fight these people? While they were watching, they saw that neither Xianyuan Mo's nor Fingzhou in red made a move. They just stood there quietly and watched. Fingzhou even had a faint smile on his face, as if he didn't care about the person who was attacking him. Just as everyone was worried about her, they saw a gray figure rush out from the Heavenly Pill building and attack the cultivator at the peak of the fairy realm. At the same time, a cold snort was heard. "You want to fight with my master? You have to get past me first." Clang! The weapons in their hands clashed against each other, producing a clear clanging sound. The pressure of the peak of the fairy realm spread out as the two of them exchanged blows, filling the air. The airflow that could be seen with the naked eye surged and collided with each other, producing a whistling sound as they brandished their weapons. Swish! Clang! Clang! Swish! As the two figures fought, a gust of airflow surged up into the sky. Sword chi and blade light flew in all directions, shocking the crowd and causing them to retreat again. On top of the Heavenly Pill building, a few black-clothed men were standing there, blocking the sword chi to prevent the sword chi from destroying the Heavenly Pill building. Hiss! Chapter 1974. What do you mean by using a sledgehammer to crack a nut? It's obvious that the Heavenly Elixir building is powerful. Look at the few people who came out. Which one of them has the strength to be called the best in the 100 Rivers City? Who knows how many powerhouses are hiding among them? That's true. Otherwise, why would they dare to put such precious elixirs in the Heavenly Elixir building for people to admire? It seems like it's difficult for the four of them to take action against the red-robed lady. She has many capable people around her. Even the black-robed man next to her isn't simple. Maybe the red-robed lady's strength isn't that great. It's only because she knows how to refine elixirs that she has so many powerhouses around her. Say, if someone knows how to refine elixirs and has extraordinary strength, how heaven-defying would that be? That's true. After all, she's a woman. It's already amazing for her to have such alchemy skills. While the crowd was discussing, the two of them were fighting. Because they had retreated far away and were fighting in midair, the air currents did not injure them. However, as they watched the experts fight, the movements, the auras, and the intense scene, they were extremely excited. It was rare to see cultivators at the peak of the fairy realm fighting. Moreover, it was such a scene. Just looking at it made those who weren't very strong excited and envious. If they had such fighting strength and cultivation, no matter where they went, they would be treated differently. If it were them, they would not so easily and carelessly use their lives and fighting strength to snatch a dead person. In the crowd's opinion, the Heavenly Elixir Building's master, who was the red-robed lady, wasn't lying. When the old man rushed in, he was already half dead. Later, the diagnosis said that his internal organs were damaged and he had such a strong poison in his body. Even if the Heavenly Elixir Building had a miraculous elixir that could save him, they still had to be willing to do so. After all, which elixir above the 5th level wasn't priceless? How could the Heavenly Elixir Building's master casually take it out to save someone she didn't know? Of course, they couldn't rule out the possibility that the Heavenly Elixir Building's master knew the old man. However, even if she knew him, few people would risk offending such an unknown faction to protect the old man. Moreover, human nature was selfish. When they heard the red-robed lady say that the old man had been carried to the backyard and dealt with, they believed her. Because that way, no matter how you looked at it, it would be more beneficial to them and end all troubles once and for all. Swish. Hiss. A sharp sword chi slashed through the air, followed by a gasp. Everyone looked over and saw blood splattering in the air. A severed arm also fell to the ground along with the blood. From afar, it looked like a red rain, which was particularly horrifying. The gray-robed man let out a blood-curdling scream as he quickly retreated while clutching his severed arm. His sinister eyes were like a venomous snake's as he stared at the person who was chasing after him with a sword. He couldn't wait to pounce forward and tear that person apart. When the gray-robed elder saw that the man's hand had been chopped off by the other party, who was also at the peak of the fairy realm, he could not help but frown. When he saw that the other party was chasing after him with a sword, he gave a signal with his eyes. The only woman in the group gathered her energy and lashed out with the long whip in her hand, making a cracking sound in the air. Chapter 1975. The gray-robed old man noticed the silver needle and immediately flicked a gold coin. However, just as the gold coin was about to hit the silver needle, it was hit by another silver needle. Hiss. The woman suddenly sucked in a breath of air. The stinging pain from her wrist caused her entire arm to lose strength and hang down. The whip that she had thrown out also naturally fell down, and the spirit force aura condensed on the whip instantly dissipated. The gray-robed man, who caught a glimpse of this scene from the corner of his eye, quickly retreated to the Heavenly Pill Building and did not pursue. According to the words of their master, if they knew that their strength was not the opponent's opponent, then they should not make unnecessary sacrifices. Your Excellency, you are very capable. The gray-robed old man stared at Fingzhou with a gloomy gaze, and his heart was shocked. This woman could hit the gold coin that he had thrown out with a silver needle. It was obvious that her strength and cultivation were not inferior to his. However, looking at her young age, how could she have such a terrifying strength and cultivation? He thought to himself. If he left like this, he was afraid that his master would not forgive him when he returned. However, if he continued to fight, the consequences would be unpredictable. For a moment, he could not help but be in a dilemma. We, the Heavenly Pill Building, are never afraid of trouble. If you want to cause trouble and become my enemy, how difficult is it to destroy you? Fingzhou's voice was cold and arrogant. What he said made everyone gasp. This woman in red is really arrogant. She can even say such words. What arrogance? If she doesn't have strength, then she is arrogant. If she has strength, then she is just confident. Is it possible that she will be bullied and endure blindly? That's true. Immortal cultivators are arrogant, let alone powerhouses with great strength. You should know that the dignity of powerhouses is not to be challenged. But I didn't see the woman in red make a move. Why did the old man say that your excellency is very capable? That's because your cultivation is not enough. The powerhouses only need a moment to make a move. How can you, a mere gold core realm cultivator, see through it? The onlookers in the distance were talking. In fact, most of the people did not see Fingzhou make a move. Only the family head-level people in the city noticed it. Just from that brief glance, Fingzhou's strength was truly shocking. The other gray-robed man also saw that the situation was not good, so he came to the old man's side. Let's retreat first. I'll go back and tell Master about this. I believe Master won't punish us. After all, where there's life, there's hope. He didn't want to die here. Let's get out of here. The old man said. Just as he was about to move, a chuckle could be heard. You want to retreat just like that? Do you think that our Heavenly Dan building can be humiliated at will? Fingzhou sneered as she looked at the people who were about to leave. As soon as she spoke, a dozen black figures blocked their path. The gray-robed old man's face flushed red when he saw the powerful auras and cultivation of the black-robed men blocking the way. He stared at Fingzhou with a gloomy gaze. So, Building Master doesn't want to let us go. Building Master, think carefully. There was a faint threat in his words. Chapter 1976. Hearing this, the other three people's expressions changed. They looked at Fingzhou with fear in their eyes. The red-robed woman and the black-robed man had already put them in such a disadvantageous position. If they really fought with them, it was hard to say if they could survive. When the old man heard Fingzhou's words, his expression turned ugly. He was an expert at the peak of the immortal sage realm. How could he allow himself to be looked down upon by a woman? At this moment, he had to fight with this woman for his own sake. Otherwise, even if he could leave this place alive, he wouldn't be able to stand tall in the future. If that's the case, do you dare to fight with this old man, building master of the Heavenly Pill building? As soon as these words came out, it caused an uproar among the crowd. This old man is too shameless. What's his cultivation base? He actually wants to challenge the building master of the Heavenly Pill building. Not only is the building master a woman, but she's also so young. How can she be his opponent? He's really shameless. The people who said this were all ordinary cultivators and commoners. Among the crowd, the people from the various clans and forces were shocked when they heard this. To be able to provoke this peak immortal sage expert, could it be that the building master of the Heavenly Pill building, Fingzhou's strength was already on par with that old man? Thinking of this, they had a faint trace of anticipation in their hearts. They really wanted to see the two of them fight. Among the crowd, the late Nalan family head stood behind the crowd. After hearing the words, he couldn't help but look at his eldest son beside him. Mo Chen, what's the cultivation base of this Fingzhou? If she accepts the challenge, can she defeat that old man at the peak of the immortal sage realm? Hearing this, Nalan Xian, who was beside the two of them, couldn't help but look at his elder brother. He was really curious. After all, Fengzhou looked very young. Did he really have such a terrifying cultivation? Just watch and you'll know. Mo Chen said slowly, calmly standing at the back of the crowd. When the Nalan family head heard his son's words, he only felt anger in his heart. His eldest son was not as considerate as his youngest son. He knew that he was anxious to know more, but he would not reveal anything. The corners of Fengzhou's mouth curled up slightly. She needed a chance to make an example out of this person, and this person had delivered himself to her door. Since this was the case, how could she not seize this opportunity? I'll be happy to oblige, she said and tapped the ground with the tip of her foot. Her red figure rose into the air and flew forward. Her body stood in the air. Xianyuanmo stood quietly in front of the entrance of the Heavenly Dan building and did not stop Fingzhou from taking action. After everything here stabilized, he would leave. Today's matter just happened to give her a chance to shock everyone. He believed that after today, those who had designs on the Heavenly Pill building would have to weigh their own abilities before making a move. Everyone saw the red figure rise into the air. Her dazzling red dress swept through the air, creating an enchanting flower. She stood in the air and looked at the old man in front of her with disdain. Her whole body emitted a confident aura and dazzling light. Everyone below couldn't help but be dazzled. This woman was truly a peerless beauty. Perhaps, only an equally outstanding man was worthy of such an outstanding woman. Chapter 1977. However, at this moment, there was the sound of a sword chi flashing through the air. Everyone turned around and saw two figures, one gray and one red, moving at the speed of light. They were so fast that they could not see their movements. They only saw that the pressure in the air gradually dissipated, making them, who had already retreated far away, feel a faint sense of suffocation. Among the sword's shadows, they saw flames shooting out from the sword in the woman's hand. The flames wrapped around the sword and roared like a ferocious beast. Just as she swung her sword down, the flames that shot out from the sword instantly formed a ferocious beast with its mouth wide open, pouncing towards her opponent. Whoosh! Roar! Faintly, there seemed to be the sound of a ferocious beast roaring in the air. When the gray-clothed old man saw the ferocious beast formed from flames pouncing towards him with its mouth wide open, he was shocked. He used the long sword in his hand to block it and quickly retreated. Even so, his hand that was holding the sword was still shaken to the point that the web between his thumb and index finger was numb. When the intense pain came, he almost lost his grip on the sword. He did not dare to be careless. Instead, he gathered all the spiritual energy in his body and gathered it together. He condensed a palm wind in his other hand and swept it out, heart-shattering palm. The palm wind carried a spiritual energy aura that could be seen with the naked eye. The spiritual energy aura formed a huge palm and fiercely slammed towards Fingzhou's chest. It seemed that he intended to take her life with this palm. When the people below saw this scene, their hearts jumped. Just when they thought that the woman in red would not be able to dodge, they saw that she did not dodge. Instead, she condensed her spiritual energy aura with her other hand and punched out. Raging Flame Fist. With a clear shout, a huge fist condensed from flames and formed from spiritual energy aura attacked Fingzhou's fist. The fist's flame aura and the powerful aura directly broke the opponent's palm wind. Whoosh! Bang! When the two fists met, there was a whooshing sound, followed by a loud bang. The airflow of the two powerhouses was dispersed, and in the air, circles of spiritual power aura visible to the naked eye rippled like water. However, Fengzhou's fist didn't stop there. She charged towards the old man once more, and her flaming fist smashed down heavily onto the old man's heart. For an instant, the old man's entire body was enveloped in flames, and the raging flame started burning at a speed that caught him off guard. Bang! Hiss! Aw! The heavy sound of the fist hitting the ground rang out, followed by the old man's scream in the air. Looking at the scene in the air, the people below were dumbfounded. It was said that victory and defeat in a battle between experts was decided in an instant. Today, they had witnessed it. There was no need to fight at all. One move was enough to kill the old man. When the other three saw this scene, their faces changed dramatically. The old man was at the peak of the immortal sage realm, but after being hit by the flaming fist, his body rolled on the ground and his chi and blood surged up. He spat out a mouthful of blood from his chest and his chi and blood weakened. In the blink of an eye, the old man was on the verge of death. If they were in his place, would they be able to survive? Let's go. Chapter 1978. Seeing this, they were bewildered. They didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly left. Fengjiu glanced at the few people who were running away and retracted her gaze indifferently. She stood in mid-air and looked down at the crowd below. A cold voice that contained a powerful pressure came out of her mouth. I'll take this opportunity to say a few words. I've never been afraid of trouble. From today onwards, if anyone insists on finding trouble with the Heavenly Pill building, they will most likely end up like the person below, or even worse. Those who enter the Heavenly Pill building and want to buy pills from the Heavenly Pill building have to follow the rules. If they break my rules, I'll deal with it in my own way. Everyone listened to the cold voice echoing in their ears, and none of them could say anything else. With such methods, and such strength, who would dare to cause trouble in the Heavenly Pill building? Who would dare to make an enemy out of her? Seeing the red-clothed woman and her group return to the building, the scene was quickly cleaned up, as if the previous incident had never happened. The crowd also gradually dispersed. Some entered the Heavenly Pill building again, while others had already left. The peddlers who had moved away first set up their stalls again and shouted for business. Father, elder sister Feng is so powerful. Young Xiao Er's eyes were full of worship. This was the first time she knew that a woman could be so powerful. Patriarch Yang sighed softly, she's more than powerful. She's simply heaven-defying. From the corner of his eye, he saw that there were people from the Nalan family among the crowd walking into the Heavenly Pill building. He couldn't help but be startled. He pulled his daughter and said, let's go in again. We haven't finished talking about the pills from before. Hey, father. Young Xiao was pulled inside as she said, Father, don't be anxious. Brother Langhua said it's fine. He's a manager. You're a girl, but he's a man. Don't always call him Brother Langhua. Call him Langhua or Manager Lang. Patriarch Yang secretly curled his lips. That young man didn't look like he had any fighting strength. It's Brother Langhua. Daddy, don't worry about it. Alright, I don't care. You can do whatever you want. I'll go ask about the pill. After entering the Heavenly Pill building, Patriarch Yang waved his hand and told her to go shopping by herself. Father, I'll go home by myself later. You can go back first after you're done. Yang Xiao said with a smile and quickly squeezed into the crowd. A grown girl can't be kept at home. Patriarch Yang shook his head and sighed. Only then did he look around for Langhua's figure. On the other side, the Nalan family's patriarch, who had been left on the first floor after entering the Heavenly Dan building, was so angry that his face turned red. He kept muttering, this unfilial son, let him introduce us. Look at him, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. I really don't know if he is my son or not. He doesn't think about us at all. When Nalan Xian heard this, he couldn't help but mutter in a low voice, doesn't father know whether Big Brother is father's son or not? If Big Brother heard this, he would definitely be angry. Chapter 1979. Cough. Nalan Xian coughed softly. After looking around, he said softly, Father, this is a public place. Give me some face. As Nalan Xian spoke, he saw a graceful black figure from the corner of his eye. His eyes could not help but light up. Father, you can see for yourself. I won't accompany you. He didn't wait for his father to say anything, and quickly walked toward the black graceful figure not far away. Miss Leng Shuang. Nalan Xian came in front of the figure and bowed to her with a smile. Do you still remember me? I'm Nalan Xian. We met a few days ago. Ling Shuang glanced at the man in front of her and nodded, young Master Nalan. You remember me. That's great. He said with joy, and his eyebrows were full of joy. On the other side, when the Nalan family head saw his youngest son running over to the woman in black and talking happily, he couldn't help but glare at him. None of them are easy to deal with. He shook his head, clasped his hands behind his back, and turned to look at the medicinal pills on the first floor. Young Master Nalan, do you need something? Ling Shuang looked at the person in front of her strangely. It was the first time he approached her inexplicably. After smiling at her, he even told her his name. Today, he ran to her and smiled so inexplicably. What did he want to do? This. He turned his gaze and said, Miss Ling Shuang, I want to see the medicinal pills. Can you introduce them to me? I still have something to do. If you want to see the medicinal pills, I can ask someone to tell you. While speaking, before Nalan Xian could react, she walked to the side and ordered a woman. Show young Master Nalan around to see the medicinal pills. After instructing, she nodded to Nalan Xian and turned to leave. Young Master, this way please. The woman made an inviting gesture to Nalan Xian. Seeing this, Nalan Xian smiled and waved his hand. No need, you go do your thing. I'll look at it myself. The person he wanted to accompany didn't have time to accompany him, so he didn't have the mood to find someone else to accompany him. The medicine attendant was slightly startled, and nodded, okay, if young master needs anything, you can find me. She bowed and left. In the attic, Mo Chen sat at the table, took a sip of tea, and said, this city's fragrance is really unexpected. Today, there are almost no people in other places. He looked at Feng Zhou and asked, Mo, how did you think of this method? Feng Zhou smiled, I'm a person who refines medicinal pills. How difficult is it to refine such a medicinal pill? She poured 2 cups of tea, 1 cup in front of Xianyuan Mo's, and the other cup in front of herself. People are curious. As long as you grasp this point, you naturally don't have to worry about customers. What's more, I sell medicinal pills and things like medicinal pills. The price isn't cheap, and it's not something that ordinary people can afford. In fact, even if there are no customers today, my reputation will spread as time passes. Refining the strange fragrance pill is just to bring forward all of this. He smiled and asked, what's the origin of those people today? I heard that it was caused by you carrying a person into the backyard. Aren't you afraid of causing unnecessary trouble by letting the tiger return to the mountain? Chapter 1980. At this moment, Xianyuan Mo's put down the teacup in his hand after drinking a cup of tea. His deep gaze landed on Mo Chen as he said in a low voice, I will be leaving in a few days. During this time, please take care of her. Hearing this, Mo Chen was slightly surprised. He looked at Xianyuan Mo strangely and asked, where are you going? How long will you be gone for? He was actually willing to leave Feng Zhou in his care. Did the sun rise from the west today? Feng Zhou was slightly startled. She looked at Xianyuan Mo's and reached out to hold his hand. Mo's, don't worry. Even if I'm here alone, I'll take care of myself. With your strength, the people around me, and a few contracted beasts, who do you think can hurt me? Xianyuan Mo's also held her hand, but did not say anything. He only looked at Mo Chen, as if waiting for his answer. Seeing this, Mo Chen smiled warmly, don't worry. Although I don't know where you are going, it is not a problem if you want to stay there for a while. I will take care of Zhou here. I will definitely not let her suffer. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo's glanced at him indifferently. He picked up the teapot and poured himself a cup of tea. He also filled Mo Chen's teacup with tea. If I come back and see that she is missing a single hair, I will hold you responsible. Mo Chen's eyes flashed slightly. He looked at the tea in front of him and smiled, don't worry. Once you leave, I will move in with Feng Zhou. Are you relieved now? Cough cough. Feng Zhou, who was drinking tea, choked when she heard this. She coughed lightly. Xianyuan Mo's, who was beside her, stroked her back with one hand and glanced at him. His face was stern as he said in a cold voice, you only need to stand out when she needs help. Otherwise, stay away from her. This monarch is more at ease. Imo-chan was in a good mood when he heard him say this, lord. He smiled and said, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Xianyuan looked at the face of the banished immortal in front of him. Looking at his gentle and elegant manner, he could not help but frown. He could not help but wonder if it was right or wrong for him to ask him to help take care of a Jew. Why did he feel even more uneasy about leaving this person by her side? Seeing the two of them talking, Fengzhou shook his head helplessly. All right. There's no need to talk so far. I can take care of myself. I'm already an adult. Why would I need someone to take care of me? She looked at Imo-chan and smiled, saying, he's going on a long trip, but he might not be back for long. Ever since he decided to go on a long trip, I've been worried. I can't stand him anymore. Although she said that, the tenderness between her brows could not be concealed. Imo-chan looked at her and smiled. It's all right. I understand. If it were me, I would do the same. He knew why he was worried. After all, Fengzhou had just arrived here. Although his strength was not bad, who knew if there was no one in this world who was stronger than him? Thinking about it, he was also worried that one day, he might get into some trouble that could not be solved. What's more, he was not by her side. The few of them drank tea and chatted in the loft. When it was noon, Fengzhou said to Imo-chan, why don't we go eat together? All right. However, it's best if we leave from the back door. Imo-chan smiled and said gently.